Yeah. So he is surrounded with his parents. So at that time, what happens that his parents might be engaged in English conversation throughout the day. So let's say that in a day he gets at least 6 hours of conversation from his parents. I'm talking about a kid. So 6 hours a child gets in a native speaking country. If I talk about a child gets 6 hours along with his parents to communicate in English. Now, normally, as per Cambridge University and as per the data, it takes around 5 years, 5 years for a baby or for a child to become fluent in English. So if I take about this 5 years into consideration, so I have to multiply this with 5 years. Plus in a year, there are 365 days. In an year, there are 365 days. So if I talk about in total, how many hours will it become? So it will become around 11,000 hours. So a child takes around 11,000 hours to speak English fluently. 11,000 hours. ज्यादातर हम लोग बोलते हैं ना सर कितने दिनों में सीख जाएंगे कितने महीनों में सीख जाएंगे. See, even a child who is born in native country, he needs 11,000 hours. 11,000 घंटे चाहिए एक बच्चे को इंग्लिश फ्लुएंटली बोलने के लिए. And the miracle is that we also ask questions that, sir, how many days will it take? See, the written fact is in front of you. It takes around 11,000 hours for a children to become to speak like a native English speaker. But since a child starts from its very beginning, so for example, if you continuously study or if you continuously speak in English for 12 hours in a day, then it will take you around 3.5 years to achieve fluency in English. Think of it. To achieve fluency in English, if you want to speak like a 5-year-old kid who knows exactly how to speak English, it will take around 3.5 years. The calculation is in front of you. You could do the mathematical calculation and you will get the idea. Now, the positive thing about being an adult is that since you already know the things, you already know the facts, and since you have one native language to support you, means you already know Hindi, you already know how to describe the things because the child doesn't know. He starts from very basics, he starts from alphabet. So it might not be possible for a child to at first understand the things, but later on he starts grabbing the things. But for you, the positive thing about you is that you already know the things. You already know the things. So it will, don't worry, it will not take you 3.5 hours, 3.5 years. So now if you are a basic English speaker, right now if you just have started, and this is a fact which can be found in Cambridge University. So I'm not talking about anything false over here. कोई false message यहाँ नहीं दिया जा रहा है. True fact. If you are a basic speaker, it will take you around 1 year to become fluent in English. If you are an intermediate speaker, if you are an, let me write it for you. If you are an intermediate speaker, means you have the ideas, you know how to frame sentences, then approximately it will take you 7 to 8 months to achieve fluency in English. And if I talk about the advanced student or advanced speaker, advanced English speaker, so it will take him or her around 3 to 4 months to master this language. So the calculation is in front of you. This is the fact, this is the data. But the challenge is 12 घंटे आपको continuously English बोलना पड़ेगा तो ये हो सकता है. तो ये हो सकता है. So this is the first thing. If you continuously speak for 12 hours, तब जाके कहीं ये हो सकता है कि आप fluent बोल सकते हो. So this is the first bits which I wanted to break. कि अगर आपको इंग्लिश में सीरियसली फ्लुएंट बनना है, सो डेफिनेटली यू डो नॉट हैव 12 आवर्स टू पुट इन। आपके पास 12 घंटे तो नहीं है। अगर एक दिन में 12 घंटे दोगे तो कहीं जाके अगर आप बेसिक स्पीकर हो तो एक साल में आपको इंग्लिश आएगा। If you are an intermediate speaker, it will take 7 to 8 months, and if you are an advanced speaker, it will take you around 3 to 4 months. So you do not have time. So that is why mentorship comes into picture. Mentorship means someone will be there for you who will guide you, and through his or her mentorship, this speed will be reduced to a greater extent. So 12 घंटे नहीं, अगर आप 2 घंटे भी देते हो with the help of mentor, teacher, then of course this time period will be minimized, and that's where English times come into play. इसीलिए English times यहाँ पर आपकी help करता है, and that is the importance of having a mentor or teacher along with you, with whom you could communicate, you gather ideas, and then you can speak. So if you regularly give your 2 hours in a single day, and I'm again, these are facts, I'm not talking about any I'm not giving any false statement. So if you give 2 hours along with your teacher every single day and take some time for your studies, then it will take you around 1 year to become a great speaker if you are a basic English speaker. So just spend 2 hours with people with like your mentor, like your teacher, with whom you could connect and you can get idea. So if you could see in this chart, as you could see, since this kid is really very happy because kids always learn things faster. And see, these are COVID-19 people like us. They already wore masks. So that is the thing. So a child takes what a child does in 11,000 hours or 5 years. What a child does in 5 years, or we could say in 12 hours, in 12 hours a day. The same thing can be achieved by you in lesser than 1 year if you spend 2 hours of quality time along with your mentor. Mentor means teacher. So that is the first thing which you need to understand. And you will be allowed to ask questions at the end of the session. So please keep a note of your questions so that your answers, each and every answer of your questions will be taken care of. So approximately 2 hours of time will it take for you to master English if you do it on regular basis with a mentor. So this is a fact. This is a data in front of you. Now let's talk about. Now let's go more into English. Now what is the difference between English language and English learning? Usually people come to me and they speak that, sir, we really need to learn grammar, we really need to learn vocabulary, and they speak on so many things. Sir, grammar, vocab, ये सारी चीजें सीखनी पड़ेगी. So how is it possible? And is there any end to grammar, vocabulary at all? कोई अंत भी है सीखने का? So let me give you one example. As you could see in the picture, this child, he is studying continuously, and after he studies, then he pursue his dream career. Either he become a doctor, engineer, or whatever he wants to. And I would request all of you to kindly mute your audio because I guess some members are still on unmute. So kindly mute your audio. Now, as you could see that this kid gives around his 15 to 16 years, and then he becomes something which he really wants to. So in this case, what this kid do is kid simply study the subjects. He study the subjects. इस subjects को पढ़ता है. He study, he learn, and then he does. पहले वो subjects को study करता है, फिर वो सीखता है और फिर वो काम करता है. इनफैक्ट सीखता भी नहीं है, स्टडी ही करता है, देन फिर वो काम करता है, लाइक दिस. सो ही स्टडी द सब्जेक्ट एंड देन ही डज, फिर वो कुछ बनता है. नाउ दिस इज वेरी ट्रू व्हेन इट कम्स टू परस्यू योर करियर. अगर आपको करियर में कुछ बनना है, देन इट इज रियली ग्रेट. स्टडी द सब्जेक्ट एंड वॉट एवर वी लर्न ड्यूरिंग आवर एकेडमिक्स इन स्कूल, so we, if it comes to English, तो वहाँ इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज नहीं होता है, वहाँ इंग्लिश सब्जेक्ट होता है. एंड सब्जेक्ट, एज आई टोल्ड यू, सब्जेक्ट वी ऑलवेज स्टडी. सब्जेक्ट हमेशा पढ़ा जाता है, सब्जेक्ट को सीखा नहीं जाता. देयर इज अ बिग डिफरेंस बिटवीन स्टडी एंड लर्निंग. दैट्स व्हाई here knowledge comes into play. When you study something, your knowledge increases. जब आप कुछ पढ़ते हो आपका knowledge बढ़ता है. So you can use that knowledge to get your dream job. Now let's talk about your skill. यहाँ पे skill की बात करते हैं. For example, this kid wants to learn how to ride a bicycle. So initially he needs some support. Later on he starts riding on his own, and very soon he starts doing stunt. He starts performing stunt, and that is what we call as a skill set. Now what is the difference between here and here? Now let's understand the difference. Here the child learns at first and then do. I'm so sorry, it is in reverse. The child does at first and then learn. यहाँ पे child क्या करता है, पहले वो करता है फिर सीखता है, पहले एक्टिविटी करता है फिर सीखता है. That is something which you need to take care of. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा था, in English subject or in our schools, at first we study and then we do. पहले हम study करते हैं और फिर हम काम करते हैं इस साइड में. And in terms of skill, as it is a part of skill set, यहाँ पर पहले हम करते हैं फिर हम सीखते हैं. At first, when you start riding a bicycle, at first you learn how to ride a bicycle. फिर आप सीख जाते हो, फिर आप तो पहले आप करते हो, आप साइकिल पर बैठते हो, आप पैडल मारते हो, आप गिरते हो, करते करते आप सीखते हो. So that is called learning. ये होता है learning. This is called studying. This is called learning. So there is a difference between. So this is a difference between studying and learning. So this is what you need to understand. So never say that, and that's why now why am I telling you this difference? Simply because when it comes to English, we think that only by learning grammar we would be able to speak English fluently. No, it is not at all. At first you need to speak in English and then only you will learn to speak in English. जैसे साइकिल चला के ही आप साइकिल सीख सकते हो, वैसे ही इंग्लिश बोल के ही आप इंग्लिश बोलना सीख सकते हो. That is the thing. So English is a skill, English language is a skill, and English subject is something which you could study in school. English subject को स्कूल में स्टडी किया जाता है और English language को सीखा जाता है, बोला जाता है. That is the difference between English language and English subject. So ये difference है. I am drawing the line in between these things. So here it is English subject जो आप स्कूल में पढ़ते हो, and that's why इतना subject पढ़ के और इतना grammar पढ़ के भी English बोलने में क्यों problem आता है? Just because of this, because वो subject था, वो language नहीं था. But here it is English language और English language आप करके ही बोल के ही सीख सकते हो. It is English language. It is a skill. It is not a subject. एक skill है, ये subject नहीं है. Please try to understand this. I am becoming quite technical today, but it is really necessary. Sometimes it is really necessary to be technical to understand the things deeper. आपके myths को तोड़ना है मेरे को आज. That's why I am giving you technical figures. और technical figures में जाके ही आप गलतियों को सुधार सकते हो, myths को break कर सकते हो. So at first understand there is a difference between English language and English subject. Do not think कि अगर grammar नहीं आता तो English बोल नहीं सकते. बिल्कुल गलत statement है ये. बच्चा जब साइकिल चलाना सीखता है तो क्या बुक पढ़ता है पहले कि पहले मैं बुक पढ़ता हूँ फिर साइकिल चलाऊंगा? No, he doesn't do like this. At first वो करके सीखता है. बच्चा जब साइकिल चलाता है तो वो करके सीखता है. तो इंग्लिश भी आपको इंग्लिश बोल के ही आएगी. Grammar and these are additional things. Now let's talk about, I hope you got my point. Now let's talk about goal. Let's define our goal at first. It is really necessary to have a goal in our life. And it is really necessary to have a proper defined goal. एक proper goal होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. So now from here onwards, it is going to be a bit more technical. So that is what we need to understand now. Let's define goal. Goal पता होना चाहिए. Now I know that since 20 participants are there right now, so definitely your goal is that you need to speak English fluently. But are you pursuing the right goal, or are you pursuing the goal in right manner? क्या गोल बिल्कुल सही मैनर में आप परस्यू कर रहे हो, क्या रास्ता बिल्कुल ठीक है, इज द वे विच यू आर फॉलोइंग, इज इट करेक्ट? So today we are going to talk about the road map, a blueprint. For example, if you want to construct a house, अगर आपको एक घर बनाना है, what do you need at first? You need the architecture. You need the blueprint of that house. घर बनाने से पहले उसका blueprint बनता है, map बनता है, and then you make house. But अगर map में गड़बड़ी है, if there is something fault in the map, then of course the house is going to break down. The same thing is with English fluency as well. So you need to set very basic parameters nicely so that you could speak English in a better way. तो आज सबसे पहले हम इंग्लिश की फ्लुएंसी को समझेंगे कि फ्लुएंसी का मतलब क्या होता है. So that is our primary goal. So as you could see, so there is a table in front of you. So I have divided this table in 3 sections. Now it is one of the most important tables of which could change your life. And remark my words, it could change your life. It could change the way you think, the way you speak about English. So this is a very important table. Don't worry, I will share it with you after the session. But please pay very close attention to it. And whatever I am going to talk, just interpret, just ask yourself whether you could relate it with yourself or not. यहाँ पे पूछना है आपको कि आप भी ऐसा तो कहीं गलती से नहीं सोचते हो, because if you think, then it will take you time to become fluent in English. So let's understand. So here I have divided the table in 3 sections: attribute, misconception and true fluency. Attribute means English को सीखने के लिए क्या-क्या qualities आपके अंदर होनी चाहिए. The qualities which you need to be fluent in English. Misconceptions means wrong ideas, जो हमारे mind में English को लेके wrong ideas बन गए हैं. We are going to look into our ideas at first and kindly check whether these are also your ideas. And then we are going to talk about true fluency. True fluency होती क्या है और क्या करके आप true fluency achieve कर सकते हो. So let's talk about some technical stuff at first. Test score. As you know that when it comes to English, we always talk about IELTS, TOEFL. बहुत सुना होगा आपने. IELTS का exam होता है. IELTS. If you want to go to foreign countries, so you have to give this examination, and it is completely English based. And if you score really well, you will get an opportunity to go to countries like Canada, America, UK. So you need to qualify the examination. Now let me write down the myth which people have. लोगों के अंदर क्या myth? As you know that in IELTS में जो mark होता है वो 9 में से marks मिलते हैं. Out of 9 you get marks. IELTS में band होते हैं 1 से लेकर 9 तक. अगर आपका score 9 है, that means आपने 100 out of 100 score किया है. So generally people what they do think is that if you score 9 out of 9 or 100 out of 100 in IELTS, then you are considered as a perfect speaker. आप बिल्कुल fluent speaker हो. And there is one more examination which I don't know whether you heard about it or not. TOEIC. It is equivalent to TOEFL. ये वो examination है जो आप देते हो so that you could go in foreign countries. Now इस examination में out of 1000, ये 1000 mark का question, 1000 marks का examination होता है. So people believe that if you score 990 out of 1000, then you are considered as a perfect speaker, fluent speaker. But do you know it is not the practical things at all. Now let me tell you the practicality, and I will also show you the graph as well. In reality, as per IELTS, as per the website of IELTS, because this is something which you could find on IELTS website, and I will show you the graph as well. As per the IELTS authority, a native speaker has a fluency level of 6.7. एक नेटिव स्पीकर वो होता है, ज्यादातर देखा गया है इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग कंट्रीज, अमेरिका, ब्रिटेन में, कि आइल्स में मैक्सिमम लोग 6.7 ही स्कोर कर पाते हैं, नॉट मोर देन दैट. फर्स्ट थिंग. सेकंड थिंग, इफ आई टॉक अबाउट टोएक, इस एग्जाम की अगर हम बात करें, सो पीपल रेयरली स्कोर 707. Now think about it. This is your misconception. You feel that by scoring well in IELTS, you are considered as a perfect speaker. But think about this true fluency chart. And this is real. If you could go in IELTS website, you will get this data. So I have picked this data from there only. that if you score only 6.7 out of 9, you are considered as a perfect speaker and you can speak English fluently. Now there is another misconception. Why do they score 6.7? उनका number क्यों आते हैं कम 6.7? Because they know how to speak English. उन्हें पता तो है हाँ English बोलना कैसे है. But when it comes to communication skills, they lack. Now there is a difference between English and communication skills. English is a language, and when it comes to communication skills, so many things come into picture. Negotiation skills, persuasion skills, presentation skills, debating skills, public speaking skills, and they are really bad at these. That's why they score well. That's why they score low, 6.7, because they are not able to present their ideas. But yes, they can speak English fluently. So they know English is speaking. They know how to speak English. But when it comes to other things like public speaking, presentation, giving presentations, so that's where they lack. And that's why this is the average score of a person who is from English speaking country. So think about it. This is the first myth. आप सब लोग ये सोचते हो कि 100 out of 100 if we score in any test, then we are perfect. No, this is not at all. So this is the real picture which can be found. So if you talk me, so this is the data. This is the graph which could be found in IELTS website. अगर आप graph देखो, I know that it आप ज़्यादा अच्छे से देख नहीं पाओगे, but in the graph only here, as you if you could see, so यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है that 6.7 is the average score. So this is the IELTS graph and this is the TOEIC graph. If possible, I will share the graphs with you as well, and then आप वहाँ पे देख लेना. That is it a real picture or not? क्या मैं सच बोल रहा हूँ या नहीं? This is the first myth which you need to break. Now let's talk about the pronunciation. अब pronunciation की बात करते हैं. So in pronunciation generally, the misconception is that if you people think that you need to speak either like a native American speaker or in British accent. हम बोलते हैं ना British English, American English. If we speak like them, then we will be fluent. Then we will be perfect. Now let me tell you. But before proceed, see, this is a native speaker. They are so happy. These are native speakers. They scored 6.9 and they are really happy. And they are speaking English really well. But see, this is a Indian boy. He scored 100 out of 100, but still he is non-native. He cannot speak English fluently. Why? This is the reason. Because with English speaking does not mean that you need to score very well or you need to be intellectual. इसीलिए मैंने सेशन शुरू किया और आपको बताया that when it comes to English language को कभी स्टडी नहीं किया जाता, इंग्लिश को लर्न किया जाता है, सीखा जाता है. So इन्होंने लर्न किया, that's why अभी भी वो इंग्लिश नहीं बोल पा रहे हैं, besides the scoring so well, and they scored so low, but still they can speak English fluently. That is the reason, because they speak, they do not take anything seriously, they just learn, they learn by doing. वो बोलते हैं वो सीख जाते हैं. That's it. Now let's talk about British and American accent. She is Aishwarya Rai, I know, but let's talk about this person at first. So this is a very confused person. He doesn't figure out whether he should speak in American or British accent. And by doing this, this is the misconception which we have in our mind, that English is speaking fluently बोलने के लिए either we need to speak like an American accent or in British accent. Now let me tell you, in India, after every 50 kilometers, the pronunciation varies. I am so sorry. Please mute your audio. Kindly mute your audio. Thank you. So India में, if I talk about India, after every 50 kilometers, pronunciation vary होता है. For example, in Hindi, we call pani. In Haryana, it's pani. In Bihar, it's poem. So think of it. एक ही word है, India में ही है. But after every 50 kilometers, the accent changes. Then what is true Hindi accent? True Hindi accent क्या है? We do not ask question over there. We just speak. जब भी हिंदी बोलना होता है, we never say हमें बिहारी accent में बोलना है, हमें गोरखपुरी accent में बोलना है. We just speak. Now let's talk about British or Britain. Now this Britain or United Kingdom consists of so many states, including England, Scotland, Ireland, and each of these states have different accent. And if I talk about America, United States of America, So there are so many continents who joined together, and that's why we call them United States. And in every state the pronunciation varies. हर एक स्टेट में pronunciation अलग है अमेरिका में. Then how can you consider that this is a perfect American speaker or this is a perfect British accent? How can you say like this? Of course, if you really want to learn this accent, American British, of course, it is your choice. You could definitely go for it. If you feel that this is something which you should learn and which you love to learn, and this is your strength, then definitely you could go for it. But now let me give you one example. Now she is Aishwarya Rai and we know her. And in 1998, she won the World Beauty Contest. She became Miss World in 1998. And if I talk about her accent, she doesn't speak in British accent. She doesn't speak in American accent as well. But she speaks in Indian accent. And yet, when it comes to speaking English, she thinks and presents her idea very clearly. And that's why she is Miss World. Think about it. She and because of her accent, Indian accent, in fact, she got opportunities to speak in to work in Hollywood movies as well. So इन्होंने हॉलीवुड मूवीज में भी काम किया है in Indian accent only. The second example is of Priyanka Chopra, who is a native Indian speaker and she carries Indian accent, but she made a wonderful and she grossed wonderful cheers from America because she worked in so many Hollywood movies. So they do not carry any British or American accent. They just speak. And that is what I want to clarify you, that it is not the accent that matters in pronunciation. Your real true fluency, in true fluency, you should be clear, accurate, and understood. This should be your goal in true fluency. जब भी आप इंग्लिश बोलते हो, क्या आप क्लियरली बोलते हो, क्या आप एक्यूरेटली बोलते हो, मीन्स बिल्कुल सही, और क्या सामने वाला आपको समझ पा रहा है. If you have these three qualities in your pronunciation, then it is perfect. Then you do not need to change your pronunciation at all. And if you feel that in your neutral accent, somehow you are not able to accomplish this, then of course you need to, then you can go to American or British accent. Because I have seen so many people who speak really well when they speak in American or British accent. It is just because it is natural to them. They love this accent. But in practical, in general, this should be your aim in pronunciation. You should be clear. आप जो भी बोल रहे हो बिल्कुल clearly बोलो, सही से बोलो और सामने वाला आपको समझ पाए. This is called true fluency. So please work on this because we have so many examples like Aishwarya, Priyanka Chopra. They carry Indian accent. Even Narendra Modi, who flies into so many countries, and he speaks in Indian accent only. Yet every single country in the entire world loves him. Why? It is not just because of English, it is because of his way of communication. Now let's talk about word choice. Word choice. Now it is another complicated thing. People say that we need to learn a lot of grammar, idiom, vocab. So when it comes to grammar, idiom, vocab, so generally the idea is that in terms of grammar, it should be perfect. हम यही बोलते हैं ना, grammar perfect होना चाहिए या advanced होना चाहिए in speaking. Fluency की definition according to us. Next one is vocabs, idioms. हमारे पास बहुत सारे idioms मतलब मुहावरे हिंदी we call. And vocabulary जहाँ तक बोलते हैं तो vocabs big होने चाहिए, बड़े होने चाहिए या complex होने चाहिए. Means vocabs आप जितना complex करोगे, so people will think that you are more fluent. No, this is not the true definition of fluency at all. This is the misconception which you have in your mind. ये misconception है जो आपने अपने mind में create कर रहे हो. Of course, you can update yourself with latest vocabulary, but in true fluency, if I talk about true fluency, so here your speaking should be appropriate and intuitive. Intuitive. Now, what do we mean by appropriate and intuitive? Appropriate or intuitive क्या होता है? For example, if I show you in screen, if you look into this picture, so she is a girl. On the left hand side, you could see she is a girl. and she is frustrated. She is frustrated because, as you could see, she has scored so well. She has used lots of vocabularies, poor performance, cynicism, headache, stomachache, and so many vocabulary she is using. But still she is sad. Why? Because जो vocabulary है, the vocabulary, it depends on the context in which you are using. For example, if you go to a doctor, now you do not need to learn each and every vocabulary which doctor says. Now it is the job of a doctor. For example, when it comes to any profession, for example, medical profession. So they have so many medical vocabularies, kidney dialysis, uh, urination. So there are so many terms in English, in medical term, which you do not need to know about at all. आपको वो जानने की जरूरत ही नहीं है क्योंकि वो आपके काम की ही नहीं है. Medical vocabs if you learn, so where would you apply? अगर आप वो vocab सीख भी गए तो आप apply कहाँ करोगे? Just think about it. अगर आप ऑफिस में जाते हो and if you talk to your friend, if you are speaking with your friend, you are not going to use any medical vocabulary at all. So it depends upon the situation, and on the basis of situation you decide which vocab should you use. Situation पे depend करता है कि कौन सा vocab use करना है. For example, this person is giving presentation, so of course he will use business vocabulary. यहाँ पे ये business vocab use करेंगे. For example, and business vocab means ये नहीं कि बहुत सारे vocabs उन्होंने याद कर लिए. Business vocab simply means he is going to be more formal. Simply वो formally बात करेंगे. And when it comes to speaking with friend, of course he will be using the vocabs which will help both of them to understand each other. Now, for example, if one friend uses a very complex vocab and the another one might not be able to understand it, then your purpose of English learning or communication is not going to work at all. Because ultimately you are learning English just to express your ideas clearly. And if this goal is not going to get established, then of course you are still lacking. So appropriate and intuitive. Now, intuitive, what do we mean by intuitive? Intuitive means gut feel. For example, right now you are communicating with someone who is senior. आप किसी senior से बात कर रहे हो तो कैसे बोलते हो? सर जी नमस्ते. In Hindi we call सर जी नमस्ते. We never say ओए राम नमस्ते. We never say in Hindi like this because we know that we have to give respect. For example, the name of your boss is Ram. So you are never say you are not never gonna say Ram namaste. You are not going to say like this. You will also say Ramji namaste. So here you used G because it is a gut feeling. You know where to use which thing. आपको पता है ये आपका gut feel है that at what time which thing is required. हिंदी में भी आप ऐसा ही करते हो. आप कभी ये नहीं सोचते हो. आप situation देखते हो, situation को analyze करते हो and उस हिसाब से vocab use करते हो. For example, you know that with senior, जब भी आप senior से बात कर रहे हो, आप अपने father से बात कर रहे हो, you are communicating with your parents. So you are not going to say, ओए तू ये कर दे. You are not going to say like this to your father. You always say, पापा आप कर दो. Now, do you learn vocab at that point of time कि तो का मतलब तो informal होता है, आप का मतलब तो formal होता है. You never use like this. You never think like this. You just look into the scenario. Your mind says that this is something which is right and you act. So this is a gut feeling which you get. So this is a gut feeling. या आपके अंदर से आता है. So that is what is called as intuition. Intuition. When your inner says that this is the right word to use. आपके अंदर से खुद आएगा. In Hindi as well, you do not know of so many words. But when it comes to the situation, you say about it, right? Now let me give you another example. This will be more suitable for you. For example, you go to a restaurant. आप एक रेस्टोरेंट में जा रहे हो. And in the restaurant, they are so professional. So you ordered a food, some food. आपने कुछ खाना order किया. And at last, a waiter comes to you and shows you the menu, drink menu, and says, would you like to have something? Now you do not know English at all. आपको पता ही नहीं चला कि उस person ने बोला क्या, because you do not know English. But since depending upon the context क्या था, उसने आपको menu दिखाया, drink का, then of course he would be asking you about the drink only. वो drink के लिए ही आपसे पूछ रहा होगा. So understand, वहां से देख के आपको reply करना है that okay, he might be asking me about the drink. वो मुझसे drink के लिए पूछ रहा होगा. So let me order it. So this is what you could do. This is what you could do. Yeah, hi COVID. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much. So this is what you could do. So based upon the context, based upon the situation, you know how to act. So for example, this restro example, you could keep in your mind. For example, if you go to a hospital, you do not know about any medical terms at all. But based upon the situation, you act and you speak. In hospital, whenever you go, आपको पता है that डॉक्टर के पास जाना है, डॉक्टर एडमिट करना है, पेशेंट है, आप वो वर्ड नहीं सीखते हो कि मुझे पेशेंट याद करना है. Automatically it comes from you. Automatically it comes outside of you. So that is why a vocab. So this is a myth which you need to break. So you do not need any perfect or advanced grammar or lots of idioms or big or complex vocab. Your true object should be appropriate and intuitive. आप जहाँ पे भी बात कर रहे हो सिचुएशन को देखो and act accordingly and speak accordingly and automatically it comes from within. ये आपके अंदर से ही आएगा. So this is something which you need to understand and take care of. Now let me talk about the next thing, which is listening. Now this is one of my most favorites. People say, now according to people, listening means that catching every word. Listening means catching every word. Catching every word means, for example, आप कोई English movie देख रहे हो, you are watching some English movie or you are watching some English news. Now what you try to do, you try to pick each and every word and try to understand the meaning. आप हर एक word pick करते हो और सोचते हो कि इस word का मतलब मुझे पता होना चाहिए. And that is where the problem begins. Problem ये हो जाती है. According to fluency, according to native speakers, what they do? Native speakers क्या करते हैं? According to them, the definition of true fluency is, let me write because I have made the notes for all of you. They should easily catch the meaning through context and anticipation. They easily catch the context through meaning and anticipation. Now what do we mean by that? इसका मतलब क्या है? ये तो इतना बड़ा बड़ा लिख दिया मैंने. Let me do it. And anticipation. And anticipation. Press. Now what do they do? वो English के हर एक words को नहीं पकड़ते हैं. Native speakers do not look or do not run behind words. They just look into the context. For example, if they are watching any movie, so they look into the scenes, and there are so many times when they encounter so many words which even they are not aware of. So they just look into the context and they derive the meaning and they anticipate. Anticipate means they guess that, okay, this is something which might be going. For example, there are a lot of people sitting around here and people really love to watch South Indian movies. लोगों को बहुत मजा आता है South Indian movies. Now what they do, they either watch the movie in Hindi dubbing, or if they do not get the dubbing, then they start watching South Indian movies. और वो उनके action से पता लगा लेते हैं that okay, this is something which I guess the actor might be saying. Even for Punjabi, there are so many people over here who are not Punjabi at all. But when it comes to Punjabi song, you listen. सुनते क्यों हो? जब पंजाबी नहीं आता तो सुनते क्यों हो? And समझ कैसे लेते हो? Because you do not go behind words. You go behind the actions. You make the meaning. You interpret and then you understand. आप word by word नहीं समझते. आप observe करते हो clearly. You clearly observe. You make the meaning and then you speak. For example, if you give any native speaker to listen to an audio of 1 minute, and after that you ask them to reiterate the story or reiterate whatever they heard. Now they are not going to tell you each and everything word by word. आप जब हिंदी में कुछ सुनते हो तो क्या वर्ड बाय वर्ड याद रखते हो हिंदी को कि ये बोला गया था, फिर ये बोला गया था, फिर ये बोला गया था? वर्ड बाय वर्ड आप हिंदी में याद नहीं रखते हो. आप वीडियो देखते हो एंड देन यू स्टार्ट डिस्क्राइबिंग इन योर ओन वे. आप अपने तरीके से बताते हो. सेम a native speaker also does. They listen to the things and they explain in their own way. But when it comes to English, the misconception is that we try to catch every single word. हमको हर एक word चाहिए. And when it comes to explaining as well, we try that we should use those words. Well, this is not true fluency. This is misconception. So you should observe the things, derive the meaning, and act accordingly. एक बच्चा भी तो यही करता है. वो ऑब्जर्व करता है, वो वर्ड बाय वर्ड हिंदी नहीं सीखता कि अच्छा मम्मी ने ये बोला है इसका मतलब ये है क्या. नो, ही ऑब्जर्व्स क्लोजली, ही ऑब्जर्व्स एंड देन एक्ट. वो ऑब्जर्व करता है, मीनिंग अपने माइंड में डालता है एंड देन एक्ट. एंड दैट इज हाउ ही लर्न्स हिंदी, एंड दैट इज हाउ ही लर्न्स the native language on which he or she is speaking. So that is something which you need to understand. So always try to understand the meaning of the context which is going, and you will get to know. For example, if this could be so true, agar listening itna hi true hota, and this could be so true, then what about people who are deaf? जिनको सुनाई नहीं देता उनका क्या फिर? What do? They speak by means of their body language. वो अपने बॉडी लैंग्वेज के थ्रू बोलते हैं. तो उनको सिखाया कैसे जाता है? हैव यू थॉट अबाउट इट कि जिस भी टीचर ने उनको सिखाया होगा हाउ टू कम्युनिकेट वाया योर बॉडी लैंग्वेज, कैसे सिखाया होगा? उनको बोल के तो सिखाया नहीं जा सकते बिकॉज दे आर ब्लाइंड. व्हाट डू? द टीचर डज द एक्शन. द टीचर डज द एक्शन, हैंड मूवमेंट. दे ऑब्जर्व एंड दे लर्न. The same thing is with any language at all. Observe and learn. Do not go behind words. Words के पीछे मत भागो. Context के पीछे भागो. Okay, this might be the situation. This might be the context. So this could be the meaning. ये meaning हो रहा होगा. अगर पुलिस किसी को मार रहा है, that means पक्का वो गुनहगार ही होगा. Like this. So you should derive the meaning by looking into the context. I hope you are with me and you are getting each and everything which I have been talking to. Now let's talk about the next thing, which is speaking rhythm. Speaking rhythm. Now what do we mean by speaking rhythm? Generally the misconception is that आप कैसे बोलते हो. Misconception है that if you speak fast, अगर आप जल्दी बोलोगे then आप perfect speaker माने जाओगे. This is the misconception which people carry. But again, this is not true at all. Let me write down the true fact. The true fact is, if you speak with punctuation and emotion, then you are considered as a perfect speaker. Now, what do we mean by punctuation and emotion? Well, in writing, of course, you could understand what is punctuation. Then what about emotions? Now, let me give you one example. Here you could see outstanding speaking by great leaders Narendra Modi and President Barack Obama. Now, have you ever observed that they speak so fast? कभी आपने observed किया है that they speak so fast? No. If you watch any public speaker, whether in TED Talks or any YouTube video, whosoever is a great public speaker, just observe one thing. They speak naturally, they do not speak faster. In English, the only person who speaks faster is a singer. सिर्फ एक सिंगर ही फास्टर बोलता है इंग्लिश. For the rest of the speaker, they balance and in fact they speak slow. For example, if I talk about Barack Obama, now to create the sense of urgency, he is going to raise his voice. Do you understand? अगर उनको sense of urgency create करना है तो अपनी speed बढ़ाएंगे उस time and raise his voice so that आपको लगे कि हाँ कोई urgent बात हो रही है. Let's go. Something urgent might be going on. And if they want you to focus on any particular thing, then they will silence. देखा आपने? If they really want to catch your attention, अगर उनको आपका attention catch करना है, what they will do? They will slow down your voice. They will slow down their voice. जब भी हम अपना voice slow कर लेते हैं तो आप क्या करते हो? ऐसे करते हो ना? You pay your close attention. But when it comes to excitement, they speak with full energy. That is called with proper punctuation and emotion. Add punctuation. Punctuation means you add pauses in between. You know where to stop. You speak slowly. And emotion means you know where you have to speak loudly. And you know where you have to speak slowly. So this is where you need to work. So that is called as, so that is what we call as speaking rhythm. Speaking rhythm fast nahi hona chahiye, with proper punctuation and emotion. And this is what you could learn from great leaders, because they never speak fast. They either speak very high to grab your attention, or they speak very low to make sure that they are talking about something important. Your tone decides whether the thing which you are speaking is it of importance or not. Now let's talk about the next one, pauses and fillers. Now what do we mean by pauses and fillers? Pauses means जो बीच बीच में एकदम आप रुकते हो, and sometimes while talking about anything you mum yourself. So the misconception is that it should be zero when it comes to English speaking. Pauses or fillers होने ही नहीं चाहिए in English speaking. But again, this is a myth. And let me break this myth. So it depends upon the situation. For example, there are almost so many participants with here right now. Now, if I talk to you about something in general about your life, for example, if I talk about something which you daily do, for example, if I say, hey, Mr. Aman, how are you? Of course, your answer would be, yes, I am fine. Thank you so much for asking. Now, here, do you need to think about answer? No. And you do not make pauses at all, because this is something which you could relate with. But if I ask you to speak on something called what is the purpose of life? So maybe you start speaking, but you need to think about the topic because it is philosophical and you need time to think. You do not know about the sentences and how to make the sentences, how to present the ideas. So you look for the words, you look for the ideas, and in that process, you take pause. And that's why you use fillers like and sometimes you or take pause so that you can generate ideas and then again you can speak. So it is a situational होता है, pauses जरूरी है and it is really required. कब? When you are talking about something which is new to you or something which is random to you. I mean अचानक से आपको किसी टॉपिक पे बोलने के लिए बोला, of course you are going to stop. In Hindi, in your native language as well, you are going to stop. For example, अगर मैं यहाँ किसी से पूछता हूँ in Hindi that China India border की situation क्या है in Hindi, you will speak. After that you will take pause and think for a while and then again start speaking. But when it comes to English, why do you take it so seriously that if you take pause then you think that you are not fit for English at all? This is not the truth at all. So it is situational. Always remember, it is situational. But yes, if you speak about something in general which you do on regular basis, so there you need to work. There you need to speak fluently. For example, if I ask you, how are you? Now you should not think like, okay, how are you? Are you? Means I have to use singular or plural. Are you? You is a subject. So do not think like this. That way it will be really challenging for you. So for normal conversation, no pause are required. If someone asks you, how are you? You should answer immediately. I am fine. Thank you so much. You do not need to think about it. But when it comes to any topic which is unconditional or unfamiliar to you, take your time. It is natural. Don't worry about it. Now let's talk about the next one and the last one, because I know I have extended it. The last one is effort process. Now this is something which I have encountered people asking me so many times. What people do that they at first think in Hindi and they translate it. So translate in your head very fast. So the misconception is that if you know how to translate from your native language into English, then you are a perfect speaker. Misconception है कि अगर आपको हिंदी से इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेट करना बहुत जल्दी आता है, then you are a perfect speaker. No, at all, not at all. What about Hindi? For example, if I ask you to to speak about something in Hindi, so do you think in some other language and then speak? What you do when it comes to Hindi? You think in Hindi and you speak in Hindi. If I talk about myself, then I also speak Bengali as well. Now, when it comes to Bengali, I do not think in Bengali. I do not think in Hindi at first and then translate it in Bengali. I think in Bengali and then speak in Bengali as well. If I talk about Bhojpuri, so for Bhojpuri, they do not think in Hindi at first and then translate in Bhojpuri. They think in Bhojpuri and speak in Bhojpuri. But when it comes to English, why does it happen? ऐसे क्यों होता है that at first we think in English and then we think in Hindi and then we translate it in English? This is a wrong idea. This is a misconception. So if you really want to achieve fluency, you should start effortlessly. In fact, you should start thinking in English. Start thinking in English. हिंदी बोलते टाइम सिर्फ हिंदी में सोचते हो आप लोग, बंगाली बोलते टाइम बंगाली में सोचते हो आप लोग. You do not learn any other, or you do not take the help of any other language. But when it comes to English, why do you translate it from Hindi? It is a wrong idea. Please do not do it. Think in English and speak in English. For example, as you could see on your screen that there are these three people. In fact, this is a single person only, but he is going through two different situations. At first, this is a person, he has to speak in English. Now he is thinking in English and he is directly speaking in English. तो ये इंग्लिश में ही सोच रहे हैं और सीधा इंग्लिश में बोल रहे हैं. Now what we do, हम लोग क्या करते हैं at first, what we do generally, that we start think at first. If we have to make any sentence, we at first think in Hindi, then we translate, and then we speak in English. Now think about this. You take this long path, and what actual path you have to take or you need to take is think in English and speak in English. So this is a much shorter way to speak in English. देखो आपका टाइम भी कम लगेगा, कितना टाइम आप लोग खुद ही लगा देते हो, right? That is why it is highly recommended to think in English. It will take shorter time to reach to your destination. यहाँ कितनी जल्दी आप सीख जा रहे हो इंग्लिश बोलना, but here you are taking a very long route. पहले आप हिंदी में सोच रहे हो, फिर ट्रांसलेट कर रहे हो. So you are taking a long route, and hence it is taking you too much time to speak this language. इसलिए ज़्यादा टाइम आपको लग रहा है to speak, to learn speaking this language. So try to think in English and speak in English the way you do with your native language. And I would like, before ending this session, I hope I have covered each and every aspect in this table. So this is now, you need to understand one thing. So this is a misconception which you have built in so many years. So this is something where you need to work. So what you have to do, you simply need to cancel it out. Because if you really need to speak English fluently, then just stop working on these points and start working on these points. These one. Yeah, start working on these points. So this should be your true objective. Yeah, आपका true objective होना चाहिए, true fluency. You should be clear, accurate, and understood when it comes to pronunciation. You should use appropriate. Based upon the context, you should choose the what to speak. You should speak with punctuations and emotions, because speaking faster does not mean that you are a fluent speaker. It should be situational. You need to take proper pauses, and in case if you need to use fillers for any unfamiliar topic, then it is okay. And of course, you should start thinking in English. You should start thinking in English. So this is something which you really need to keep in your mind. And I will share this chart with you. Please take the printout and stick it in front of you. Wherever you sit, just stick this piece of paper in front of you, so that every time when you deviate yourself from your goal, so this chart will help you to remind. So this is a false goal. अभी तक आप लोग false goal के पीछे भाग रहे हो. Goal ही गलत है. Goal ही गलत है. And there in Hindi there is a saying, अगर गोल गलत है तो जिंदगी भर गोल गोल घूमते रहोगे. गोल गोल घूमते रहोगे. So do not roam while roaming around. So it is highly required that this should be your true goal. This should be your true goal. And if you do like this, then you can consider yourself as a perfect speaker. So this should be something which you need to pursue in your career, which you need to pursue when it comes to English communication. ये आपका true goal होना चाहिए on the right hand side. And last but not the least, I would like to tell you In fact, I found this on Instagram, so I thought that I should share it with you. So if you could read important lesson about money. So though it is talking about money, but it is relevant in English speaking as well. So if you try to chase the cat, it will run away from you. अगर आप cat को का पीछा करोगे, तो of course cat आपसे दूर भागेगी. If you have what the cat wants, it will come to you. अगर आपके पास वो है जो बिल्ली को चाहिए, तो वो बिल्ली खुद आपके पास आएगी. The same thing is with English as well. If you run behind misconceptions, अगर आप misconceptions के पीछे भागोगे, तो ये इंग्लिश आपसे दूर भागेगा. बट अगर आप अपने ट्रू गोल के पीछे भागोगे, यानी यानी अगर आपके पास स्किल्स हैं, ट्रू गोल्स हैं, यू नो द स्किल सेट विच यू नीड, तो बिल्ली यानी इंग्लिश आपके पास खुद चल कर आ जाएगा. So you do not need to run behind English. English will come to you. You just need to develop the mindset and the points in true fluency which I talked about. And last but not the least, I would like to rest my speech by saying if you really feel that we provide value, kindly refer English Times, because this is what we do. We try our level best to break the misconception so that effortlessly you start speaking in English. So that's all about. Now the session is open for Q&A. अब अगर आपके कोई भी doubts हैं, तो you could ask. अब आप doubts पूछ सकते हो. Now the platform is yours. Now you could unmute your audio, and if you have any doubt in any point, then let me know. I will try to clarify. So here is the table. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Any doubt? Is there anyone who has any doubt at all? Okay, so have you understood each and everything? Okay, that's really great. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, COVID. Thank you so much for appreciating. So I guess each and everybody has understood everything. So since we have a wonderful speaker with us, so is there any feedback which you would like to share regarding the session?
Yes.
Yeah, is there anyone who, yeah.
Yeah. Here they're asking questions to you. I just want to share my feedback.
Yeah.
By hearing a lot of things about English, now I'm having a lot of confidence. So really it is quite impressive, and I'm very glad to listen from you. And definitely we have to speak fluently, and this is not very such a goal. And within a few days we have to, like, I'm talking about myself, and I'm getting a very good mentor like Anita ma'am, and I'm very much impressed with her teaching, as well as after attending today's workshop. So I hope it will enhance my knowledge. And as you said, the knowledge and speaking English both are different. Really, it is the amazing point, and definitely we will success. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Thank you so much, Miss Swain, for sharing such wonderful feedback. It really means a lot. It really means a lot. Now, our sole objective is that you should speak not like us, but better than us. So you should be more fluent than us. And if you are really getting uh, the the things, then we are really glad to have all of you. Thank you so much for your wonderful feedback, Miss Swain. Thank you so much. And is there anyone else who would like to say something, or if you have any doubt, you could ask? Okay, I guess every single person is clear. My God, I'm really glad and I'm really thankful to God that I am able to clarify each and everything to you. So, if that is the case, then, and one more thing which I would like to share. Yeah, hello. Yeah, is there someone else who would like to share something, or want to speak something? Okay, all right. So now one more thing is that the recording of this session is going to be uploaded on YouTube. So in case you need to watch it again, so the same thing can be found on YouTube. So the link will be shared with you. So we have recorded it for the people who unfortunately could not attend the session. So we do not want anyone to get get away from this huge amount of learning. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I'm really glad that you took your time on Saturday evening and came and listened to each and everything, each and every message. And please try to follow whatever we discussed in this session so that you could work on the feedback, you could work on the inputs, and you could achieve the true fluency. And thank you so much, Covid, for your wonderful appreciation. So I'm really glad that you liked the workshop, and it really shows how down to earth person you are. Thank you so much for such a great appreciation, and thank you so much, Mr. Gaurav, for such wonderful lines. So I will share the this picture along with you so that you could also use it to track your progress. So this will be a roadmap which will help you to track your progress and speak in a better way. And in this workshop, so I used both Hindi and English to make sure that each and every participant should get the information, because we have students from basics as well. So that was, it was bilingual, and it is going to be bilingual so that each and every participant can be benefited. So that's all about the session, guys. Thank you so much for making my evening. And if you still feel that you have any doubt, that you can always ring on me back or text me on my WhatsApp, and we would be more than happy to help. Thank you so much, Mr. Ashutosh. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Take care. Good night. Happy learning, and always remember that each one of you are awesome. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye. Take care.